Call this beat Will Smith, cause it slaps hard. Hear it not when I pull up on your boulevard.
Here's the first biological reason why a woman would break her own dating rule. First reason is a neurochemical response. So basically what that is that when someone feels a strong attraction and connection, their brain releases these various chemicals like dopamine, oxytocin, and these chemicals create feelings of pleasure, of bonding, and of attachment, all right? And these heightened emotional states result from these chemicals would ultimately lead a woman to disregard dating rules because she's in pursuit of these various rewarding feelings that are associated with her attraction. So if she has rules set up that are going to be barriers to her from feeling the biological response that she's having with you, then it's going to make her seriously consider if getting rid of you is going to be worth it, because getting rid of you also means getting rid of the feel goods that she's getting from the dopamine and oxytocin that has drained into her brain when she's been around you. So, for example, if you're a guy that doesn't have a car, but you met her at a party for the first time where, like, at a party, she doesn't know initially you don't have a car, right? So you're talking, making her laugh, you're being vibing. You guys might have played some group games that involved you having to kiss her or whatnot. You've made her feel really, really good. And then at the end of the night, you guys exchange numbers, and that's when she finds out, oh, you don't have a car. Well, she has a rule about not dating guys that don't have cars. But she just spent the whole night where you were making her feel all these things. The dopamine was running, the oxytocin was running, and you just made her feel so good that now she has a choice to make. And biologically, she's like, I want to feel those things again. This guy made me feel all these things that other guys don't, and I want to feel them again. Is the car thing a big deal? I guess not. So that's the first reason, biologically. The second biological reason why a woman would break her own dating rules is evolutionary instincts. So evolutionary psychology suggests that humans have developed certain instincts to enhance their chances of reproductive success. If a woman perceives a man as a potential partner who could provide protection, resources, or strong genes for her offspring, her biological drive to secure a suitable mate will override her dating rules. So she sees you, has a good time with you, and also she's looking at your muscles. She might have heard about, like, you know, the job you had. Again, we're going with the car example. You don't have a car, but maybe you just like walking, you know, but you got a job that pays like $100,000 a year, $75,000 a year. You're able to support yourself. She's able to see that you have good emotional intelligence, and all those things play into, and he'd also be a good person to mate with and have kids with, because based on my interaction with him, he'd probably be great with kids. He wouldn't abuse them. He wouldn't hurt them. He'd be able to take care of them and help me raise them properly. And given how he looks, our offspring would also look really, really, really great. So now, again, do I now give that up because of the no car rule, or because, you know, maybe he's not so needy and so he's not texting me as often, so I got to text him first, but I have a rule about texting guys first? But is she gonna stick to those rules when she's met you, a guy that she sees as a viable candidate to potentially have offspring with someday and then raise a really good family? Chances are biology's gonna kick in. She's gonna say, well, these rules aren't biology. Screw that. I'm gonna get this guy. That's number two. And then the third biological reason why a woman would break her own dating rules is because influence of hormones. Hormonal changes throughout a woman's menstrual cycle can impact her behaviors and preferences. Studies suggest that during the ovulation phase, women might exhibit increased interest in pursuing short-term relationships with more attractive partners. This could lead a woman to go against her regular dating rules for a man she perceives as highly attractive during this phase. Now, what's interesting is, like they said in this one, that she might be more interested in pursuing a short-term relationship. So let's say you might not have normally been her type, right? But she's in the phase of her cycle where it's like, for whatever reason, you are just turning her on. Maybe you guys went to a party and there were like 3 guys there, like 10 women. And you're like one of the only guys that she sees as highly attractive, and she is horny because her hormones are raging. And she's like, all right, you know what? He ain't got a car. He's broke, whatever. He looks like the kind of guy with a bang tonight. So it'll be a short-term thing, whatever. So she hooks up with you during a short-term phase of her cycle when she finds you more attractive for a short-term thing. And then the hookup's really good. Your banter afterwards is actually really witty and charming. She liked the way she felt being held in your arms. And now she's past that part of her cycle, and now there's a problem. It's that she actually really liked how that felt. And now, even though she's not part of that cycle where she's looking for short-term from you, she's like, but that felt really good. And you know what? Maybe it was a fluke. I got to see him again. Like, I know he's got no car. He's maybe broke at the moment, or he wants kids and I don't, but he just made me feel really good. You know, her hormones helped her want to get with you, and now they're helping her want to decide to stay with you. Okay. So these are just some of the many biological reasons that are out there as to why a woman that has these strong dating rules would actually change them up. So with all that said, fine, you get it. You understand now that a woman is not beholden to specific rules that she herself set up. How do you make her change her dating rules? And here, guy, I find is the honest answer to that question is that you don't. You do not forcefully try to negotiate or convince or try to make a woman see all the reasons why she should change her dating rules. What you do is become the kind of guy that women are going to be willing to break their rules for, all right? Now, I learned this early on because in college, when I found out early on, when I was in college and had a job, I worked at a pizza place, I had my own apartment. Well, I had an apartment with a roommate, but like I was bringing in regularly good money when I was in college, right? And I had no women. And that was partially because I was not confident in myself. And therefore, that exuded out to the women I was trying to go after, because if I'm not feeling confident, they can feel I'm not confident. It makes them wonder why I'm not confident, and they don't date me. And then I had times when I got older where I had next to no money and all the confidence in the world. And as a result of that confidence, women would still date me in spite of not having a car, in spite of being broke or not having a lot of money. And so what I realized is that if I was a guy that was highly confident in himself and I was indifferent, i.e. not getting butthurt based on decisions that she made, whether she wanted to see me or not, whether she wanted to flake on a date or not, whether she wanted to show up or not, whether she wanted to continue to date me or not. If I was just kind of like, okay, well, you do you, then I found that by default of that attitude was so different from the other guys that were probably going after her that it made me by default a candidate that was more inclined to get her attracted to me. To whereby, let's say I was like the broke dude on somebody's couch and didn't have a lot of money coming in. Well, I also wasn't trying to like constantly text them all the time or constantly be on them. They have to date me all the time. And so they'd go back out and try to date other guys that were doing all that stuff and be like, maybe he doesn't have a lot of money, but he made me feel great. And he's not hounding me. He's not trying to get me to get into a relationship with him so quickly. And that made them say, you know what? I'll go ahead and give this guy a shot. Like, he doesn't have a lot of money. He's broke. He's, doesn't want kids or whatever. But you know what? I still feel like there could be a thing here. So I'll give it a shot. And that resulted in me having like a lot of good long-term relationships with girls, So it goes back to, but I wasn't forcing them to have to change up their program. If some girl comes to me and said, hey, you know what? You're 5'9.5", and I only date six guys that are 6 feet or higher. I'd be like, okay, so you want to go like watch TV, or you want to go bowling, or you want to go back to this party and just whatever. And I would just chat them up like, I don't have a shot. I don't give a crap. I'm going to just talk to her like regular. And that attitude, like I just brushed off like your rule is silly. If you want to live by that rule, that's some dumb crap you want to do, but that's totally fine. It's like, oh my God, he didn't fall for it. And that's the thing, is that a lot of that is bait. A lot of that is like, if I tell the guy I have a rule, is he going to take the bait and then try to like negotiate with me and try to change my mind as to why he shouldn't have that rule? But in the moment, you're actually disrespecting the current rule she has. Now, if you decide to ignore it altogether and just let her have that rule, then you'll find she's like, oh, now I'm more open to change my rule. Here's the other thing, is that, funny enough, a lot of women these days don't like being told what to do. So if she has set up a rule for herself and you come along and you impress her enough to where she's like really like wanting to get with you, she's going to be thinking to herself, but I have this rule. And then she's going to think, subconscious, why do I have this rule? Why are you not allowing me to do what I want to do? I want to see this guy. You, self, can't make me not see this guy. I'm going to see him. And so she's basically like telling off herself about her own rules in an attempt to be able to convince her other self that she should be able to see you. And that's all without you having to do anything other than being indifferent, being patient, but being confident that you are deservingly right to date whoever you want to date. And that, I found, is the easiest way to get her to change her rules, is by not being the one that makes her change her rules, because ultimately it has to be her decision. If she makes her own decision to change her rules, then you can't have any pushback later. But if you try to force her to change her rules, later she'll be like, see, I knew I shouldn't have dated you because blah, blah, blah. You didn't have this, but it's your fault because you convinced her to change her rules. You not being the one to make her change her rules means you can't be blamed later if she decides she made a bad choice. So hopefully, guys, that helps you out.
You's a bad boy, but you can't stop, won't stop. You a high earning, high value, high class man. You a high earning, high value, high class man. You a high earning, high value, high class man. You a high class man. You a high class man. You a